Welcome to another lab session. This lab session, once again, is also going to focus on creating a scalable and a highly available environment, but this time for the cafe business. Now, the business challenge is that the cafe is going to be featured in a TV program, and there is an anticipation that the number of users on the website is going to spike. Now, the worry is that the current architecture of the cafe website is hosted on a single instance in one availability zone. So, therefore, during the spike, it may not handle this increase in workload. So, it is necessary that we architect or create a scalable and a highly available environment. So, we are going to also configure a load balancer and then an auto scaling group. But then we are going to begin this lab with some of the components already there. As I said, it is hosted in a single EC2 instance, right? And so there are some components that is already available prior to the start of this lab session. So let's investigate that, or let's explore that before we go into the hands-on. So first thing, we are going to look at the security measures in place, and then if you should look at the security, you can see Cafe SG. If I should select that, let's look at the rules that are allowed here. So taking a look at the inbound rule, let me scroll up a little bit, right? And you can see there is port 80 open that accepts traffic of type HTTP, right? So that is the only port opened on this security group. So that is basically for the cafe security group. The outbound rule is always allowing all traffic outside, but as you can see, it's always allow all traffic to exit. Okay, now let's take a look at the public subnets, and the subnets in total, right? So there are 4 private subnets and then 2 public subnets, and these subnets are distributed across multiple availability zones, right? So if we should think, we can look at the availability zones that they are in. If they are not here, definitely we are going to see it. Yes, so it starts from here, right? And let me scroll back to, yes, where we had the availability zones. So you can see the AZs here, right? So it's distributed across AZ A, B, C, D, right? So these are for the private subnet, and then the public subnet are distributed across availability zone A and B. Okay, so that is for the subnet. Now let us look at how they interact, or instances in those subnets interact with the internet. So we'll go to the route tables, and then same as the subnets, there are about 6 route tables, right? 4 for the private and then 2 for the public. Now we'll look at a few of them and then we move on. So if I look at the public route table 1, that will be for public subnet 1, obviously, right? You can look at the subnet associations here, and this is the subnet. So if I should click on the subnet, I should be able to see. But let's even look at the subnet ID here. So 69B, right? And if I should look at public subnet 1, you can see the same ID here, right? So let's go back to the route table, and for public subnets, let's see the route. Yes, and you can see it is also directing internet bound traffic, right, to the internet gateway that is attached to the VPC. So it means that if the security group allows, right, if the security group allows, we should be able to connect from the internet to the instances in public subnet 1. Okay, and let's look at private subnet 1. So we'll look at the private route table for private subnet 1, and if you look at the route table, it's also directing internet bound traffic to the NAT gateway. So it means that instances in the private subnet should be able to connect to the internet, right? Because there is a NAT gateway, and then the route table is configured properly to route traffic there. Let's look at the private route table too, and then we'll move on. And for this one, it's only routing local traffic. So it means that instances in the private subnet 2 won't be able to reach the internet, right? So there is also an EC2 instance that is already provisioned. Let's click on it and also look at some details on it. Okay, so currently this is the instance that we have. It has a public IPv4 address, it has a private IPv4 address, and it is in the private subnet 1. Okay, this instance is in the private subnet 1. So let's see if we can connect to this instance through the internet. So I'll just copy the IPv4 address, paste it here, and then press enter. And you can see it's taking a while to actually load, and then finally we get this site can't be reached. So it means that we are not able to connect to instances from the internet. So this is different from the internet being the instances being able to reach the internet, right? There's a difference between instances being able to reach the internet and you being able to reach the instances via the internet. So we are not able to connect to instances in the private subnet through the or from the internet. All right, then there is also a machine image that we are going to make use of later, and that is, the name is the Cafe web server image. So this is an overview, let me say high level overview of the components that we have. When you are doing the labs, you should also spend time to investigate other components at your convenience. So I'll end this video here, and I'll see you in the next video for the hands-on.